right, y'all. Back at you. What we got today, babe?
Wisteria vine that we're pulling out for baskets.
Yeah. And we're not just pulling this out for baskets.
No.
This wisteria vine is no joke. A big problem. You can see right behind her here this massive hedge. If I get close, you can see that it's a holly.
That's it right there.
Yeah, but if you step back and we step back and look, you can see the wisteria is just taken over this entire hedge, and it's climbed up some of our other trees too. It's starting to climb into the yard, so it's got to go. And
how it climbs up the stuff.
Yeah, it's no joke. Look in here. Look at these vines. No joke. We encourage you to not plant this plant, but since we have to remove so much of it, my wife here is gonna make her favorite thing out of it.
Baskets.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a nice basket. I just learned how to make this one, I don't know, a couple months ago when we were thinning this out in the winter.
Gotcha. So she's got, you can see here, we've been pulling this stuff up for a little bit.
I'm lining it up so I can coil it up. Once it's all, I'm gonna have to, once we're done collecting it, you gotta go through all of them and, you know, cut the little like roots off and everything.
Yeah, but she's got it all lined up here, at least to keep it somewhat semi-organized. But
yeah. And then I'll coil it all up and then show you the next step.
Yeah. All right, y'all. We'll get back with you as soon as we're finished clearing this little hillside here with the next step. All right, y'all. Back at you. It's been a couple days since we collected all the wisteria vine, and my wife here has made some stuff out of it. So what you got?
All right, so when I collect the vine, I have to clean it all up. I kind of showed you that earlier. You have to, for getting the roots off, you kind of have to hold the roots and then cut them. They don't, at least while they're fresh, you have to do that. But other than that, they're pretty easy to process, and you kind of just want to take any kinks off of them. So these are what I use for like the structure of my basket. So these are bigger pieces. And then I collect some smaller pieces. That's for in comparison. This is what I weave with and wrap with. So the first thing you do is you make the rim of your basket. So I'm making a basket with the wisteria vine. And to make the rim, you just loop it around itself. Several of these small pieces, and then you just kind of feed it inside, kind of just like spiral it around. And then you do that several times until you get one about, so this is the opening of your basket. This was one nice runner that I was able to pull, so this is one single strand. So once you've done this, I'm going to show you how to make the structure of it. So this is kind of step 2 here. Here's step 2, and then I have a finished basket that's a totally different shape, because it all depends on how you make this part. But here's a finished basket that I made. You can see in there, and that's the bottom. So this one's a little smaller. So it just has to, the shape of your basket has to do with these ribs that you put in on how deep they're going to be. So I'm going to show you how to make it go from this to this. You take your thick pieces here. I have needle nose wires and some wire, and I also use just regular shears, garden shears. So I take this and I use it to kind of get in the middle here to kind of like open it up, feed this through, pull that out. And then you go to the opposite side. And so obviously, if you have a big loop, you're going to have a big basket here. You kind of want to have even lengths a little bit so that, because this will be, you can make this your handle and just feed this end down here and feed this end down here. Get it how you want it. You can kind of see what the shape of the basket's going to be. And then you can take one of your smaller pieces and you kind of like start it in between the two. I'm just going to wrap the handle a little bit. Bottom, I'm going to wrap it a few times and then run it back up. I'm going to wrap it a little bit right here, and then I'm going to run this through, and then once I get to the top of my basket here, I'll wrap this around later. Alright, so I've got my handle. So I'm going to do two. I'm going to break it in thirds. So I'm going to put one here and one here. So I'm going to take my needle nose pliers, get it in there. So I make a little hole to push it through. Pull them out. Pull it evenly. And then do one more. put that in there. And now, once you get this part done, with that, you kind of play around with the shape that you want of your basket, so that's nice and even. And then that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to pull off a piece of wire and wire it together. All right. So, once you've gotten it to this point, you're going to just ignore these pieces until the end, because these will end up weaving either around the center loop or along the top part of your basket. And you could probably go ahead and do it now if it bothers you. You can also wire these pieces, maybe trim it so it's even, and then wire both of these sides down if you wanted. And then I'm going to do this one, put up my example. So basically, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6, 7, 8. I have 8 spokes here. One of them is like a double spoke. To get the perfect over under, you need to have an odd number of spokes. So once you get this going, then you're going to add a stray spoke in, a single spoke in, but you have to get your first ones going first. So you just go over, under, under. And some people, like if you harvest your wisteria vines and don't do anything with them for a little bit, you can soak them in the bathtub. I've seen people do. These are pretty freshly cut vines, and I usually just try to work the vine when it's been freshly cut and harvested, but sometimes it does break on me, especially in this first little round. And it's very organic looking and forgiving. So. Over. So you want this to be as tight as you can get it. This one, it's kind of splitting up pretty good. So I'm going on the inside of this because this spiral wasn't big enough, because you wanted to be able to hold things. So this is somewhat of a brittle So I'm just going over and under and getting kind of like my first spiral here. Alright, so once you get this first one done, that's like your hardest one because it's such a tight spiral. Then I take another long piece. I'm just going to cut it off of here. And you just add it in. To where the largest gap is. Alright, so now when you go over, under, it'll make a perfect circle. So then basically, once you have this, you need an odd number of spokes. You just keep doing this around and around and around. Once you get up to this part, then you start taking these guys and folding them into your weave. And sometimes you might even have to cut some of them off if they're too brittle. And then look at this one again. You can kind of look at the detail. So this first wrap, you want to make sure you have a good bendy piece for these first tight ones. The one that I used on this one wasn't as flexible as this one was that I used. But you just basically go over, under, all the way around with lots and lots of vine until you get up to the top. And then you start taking your spokes up here, and you can either wrap them around here or
no, just show them. Go ahead, wrap the whole basket.
Wrap the whole basket?
Yeah.
Okay.
It won't take that long, right?
No. So here's another trick that I found so you don't have to wrap it all the way, is as you feed it through, you can kind of go over under for the first circle that you go around, so that you're not having to like pull the whole vine through. So over, under. I think that's as far as it'll let me go here. I'm going to have it go through this because this So you kind of want to just look, see where all the gaps and holes are, and you can kind of just fill it in so that you don't have any holes. So I'm still kind of working in this middle area to make it a nice. You kind of trim some of these splintered pieces out once you get it going, because it all kind of knots together. There we go. So it's getting a little tighter now. Under, over, under. Once you get on the outer layers, it gets a little easier. Starts looking a little better. I'm gonna fill it in a little bit more here in the middle, since I'm close to the end of this one. I can get this to coil up. And in the middle, in the center here, I'm just bringing it back in here so that there's less gaps in this middle part. that's two pieces of vine that make a nice kind of center, and then you can go back and trim that out, which was like the extra spoke that we added in. I used most of the vine that we made for that big Easter basket that I made earlier. Pull this up through the middle. All right. So feeding it through. Over, under, over. Under. Sometimes you need to not go over, under. If you find that, you know, where one overlaps to another one, it's pretty forgiving. I'm just trying to get it around, woven so tightly that, you know, each layer holds the previous layer in place.
I think you missed something there. Look in the middle. Look inside the basket.
Oh, this.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah. That was right when I said, you don't have to go over, under, over, under. So that went over, under. This one goes over. That's where I messed up. All right. This goes over, under, over. Under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. You gotta constantly press it and tighten it. Get nice and tight. Over, under, over. Alright, so I got to the end of that one and I just shoved it up. When you get close to the end, you can just find a good place for it. Alright. So that, what is that, 4 pieces so far? Over. So this is over. Alright. So I got that tucked in there. So that's it so far. Kind of press this down at this point, get a little bit closer. This one I wanted to make this more like a berry basket, or more like a harvest basket. This is like for lots of eggs or muffins or something. Alright, so at this point I think we can start seeing if we can work these guys. Now these are thicker, so they're a little more troublesome to bend. I'm going to cut some of these because they're just not going to bend. And to keep this from falling off, what you'll do is, you'll see when I'm done, I'm going to have to cut these. They're too stiff. Alright. My last basket they bent in, and these they're not, so we're gonna, I don't think that one's gonna either. So now to keep this from falling off of here, you're gonna do a wrap up through the, you're going to go up through the weave of the rim, and you're going to go down through here. Let's start over. My vines are getting a little more brittle because they're a little older than when I was working on that one. Alright. Up through here, go down through the basket. I'm gonna press this, have it go all the way through the rim. Take this, go down through it. So you're kind of stitching up into the rim of the basket here. up through the rim. And then you have lots of different spokes to go in and out of. This is kind of ugly right here. So I'm gonna cut that out. There we go. And just travel it through. Alright. You keep working your way. Keep pressing it, making it more even. Alright, I'm almost out of a vine here. But we have plenty more in the woods, don't we? Stuff is
We do.
taking over the whole forest and killing everything in its path. So we really should be making even more baskets, because Wisteria vine is a terribly invasive plant. So pretty sounding out here. All the birds. Cicadas. I don't know. These are kind of all my leftovers. This guy used up quite a bit of vines. And this one, it wasn't even, and I had a gap on one side that was bigger than the other. It's kind of like how this one's going. So you can kind of like press it down and make it more centered. And you can also just fill in, like do back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and to fill in an area if you need to. I'm going to use this one I originally used for the ring. This is a good one. Alright, so I'm going to start feeding it through this. I'm going to do another weave from the basket rim. I go in there. Now up through the rim. Gloves are probably, like, nice fitted gloves would be nice for this project, probably. But you can grip stuff a little easier without them. And this just makes every piece that you run through this rim here, just like makes the rim tighter and tighter. I'm just gonna, since I went the whole way around, the other part of this one, it's pretty tight in there. Let's see, let's still get this going in here. You can always, I could probably wrap one more or two more, but you guys kind of see the point. In this one, I was able to, these, the ribs that were in this one were actually fresher and more flexible. And I was able to kind of like run it up around and down to make it so that it's nice and sturdy. But, you know, this one's still the way that I weaved it up and down. This one's not going anywhere either. This is really strong vine. Actually, my kids took a tube, a metal tube, and made a swing with this vine on one of our trees. And it even held me up. So this is super strong vine. Makes great baskets. So I hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah, all right. That was cool.
Seeing how I make this type of basket, and you
the
can
kids
make
are waiting off screen for some attention,
some
for
snacks.
some snacks or something. But all right, cool. I hope y'all liked our video here. If you have any questions about it, just post in the comment section below. I finally learned how to put a subscribe button in this corner, maybe this one, I don't know, but we'd appreciate it if you'd consider subscribing to our channel. And if you don't, what's gonna happen?
You'll never get to eat anything.
Oh, you won't get to eat anything, just like him. He's been waiting for an hour to eat something. Oh no. All right, y'all. Well, I hope you enjoyed our video, and maybe consider subscribing to our channel. And until next time, everybody, take care.